How you doing?
Pete.
What's your name?
Ken Barnes.
Ken Barnes. How long have you been here? How long have you been part of the protest?
I have been here for a week this trip, and a couple months ago I was here for a week also.
Trip? Where are you from?
I'm from New Hampshire.
Whoa. You're down here from New Hampshire
Yes,
to
sir.
protest this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And in January we started talking about coming down, and this is just unacceptable, and we have to go down here and see what's going on for ourselves and bring it back to people, and try to get public to see what a travesty our country is perpetrating.
Wow, that's first of all, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you. There are a lot of people who have a lot of free time on their hands.
Hey.
And they don't spend it like that. What things have you noticed here that have just been kind of, even though you knew it was happening, it was still kind of shocking to see it all up close?
Well, the regimented prison-like conditions that the kids are in, you know, they come from behind the barracks and they march them out, one small group of kids at a time, with guards in front, guards behind them, and they march in single file, and they're basically told to look at the back of the head of the person in front of them, and they just, there's about a yard between them, and they march out, and they march them around in a circle, and then they go around, they go into the next building, which I think is where they eat, and then they march them back out the other side.
Like jail.
Yeah, and after the first group, then a group of kids, and these groups are like 10 kids or something. The second group is a little bit smaller kids, and they do the same thing, and they march them around, and they go in the other building, and then the next group appears.
Do you know if they keep the siblings together, or do they separate them based off of the age?
I think they do it by age, and I don't know if you know this, but they don't allow anybody to touch anybody. So if your little brother or sister is crying because they are lonely or they're hurt or whatever, they're scared, which most of these kids are, then you can't hug them and console them. Little girls, you know, braid each other's hair and hug each other and whatever. They're not allowed to touch each other in this prison.
That's horrific. So
yes.
What happens to the parents? Where are the parents at?
Well, we don't know because we weren't there, but they were separated at the southwest border. So when the families come over, and by the way, 80% of the children in this facility, and there are 3,000 or so children in this facility, but 80% of them came accompanied by family. So 20% came with no family, and some of them were separated from their parents. But a lot of them came with their aunt, came with their grandpa, came with their cousins, came with a sponsor or with a neighbor who had plans to hook them up with a sponsor in Chicago or Detroit or wherever, you know, their family relations are in this country. And so they come over with an adult and they're separated from the only family they have. And some of the families that we've talked to, this little girl came with her aunt and uncle and cousins because the little girl's mother was shot in the head by a gang in Honduras and murdered. And so she got to the border, and the Border Patrol people hear her say Tia, which means aunt, and the guard says, oh, so this is not, you're not her mother, you're not her natural mother.
What?
And you know, this is the only family she had. Her mother was murdered by a gang.
In the States, if that was the only family left, that would automatically become the primary caregiver.
Absolutely.
Until otherwise.
Absolutely.
So they separating people based off of semantics?
Yeah, and then they have the audacity to call these kids unaccompanied minors.
Like they were not accompanied, but they literally were accompanied by family.
Yeah, kind of like this 10-year-old wandered over the border by herself. No, that's not the way it works.
Man, that's horrendous.
Yeah.
What? So, hold on. I don't understand, though. Why are they separating kids and putting them here and taking their family and putting them somewhere else? Why not put them all in one place? Did they give any type of reason for it? Or is it basically, if you have the kids separated, I know that he told me they pay roughly $700 a day per kid. $750 a day per kid is what they, and unfortunately, a child is not, I'd imagine this is the reason, they don't have the ability to call an immigration attorney. They don't have the ability. Yeah, how would they? And even if they, who would they contact? They don't have iPhones. They don't have a phone book at their disposal.
Not to mention the money to pay for an attorney.
The money to pay for an attorney. The other maybe they do have other family, but they would have no idea how to contact them. So basically, until an immigration attorney or somebody with some type of authority comes into the building,
Mm-hmm.
they're stuck. They're done.
Right. And you can't ask me the question about why they separate families, because I can't give you an answer. There is no human answer, no humane explanation that is actually valid.
Yeah,
it is absolutely inhumane.
I had my colleague Fiorella and Pasta. They went to Tijuana, and the same myth that was being perpetuated. Oh, they're unaccompanied minors. How these kids are? How would you do this to your child? And then once again, the narrative comes out that they're unaccompanied. Their parents just send them off by themselves. And I'm like, I've never seen that before. Maybe in a very rare circumstance, a kid, maybe he doesn't have any family left, and this is like the only way he's going to survive, and he knows that. But that's just not in the nature of a caregiver. If you're trying to cross that border, and this is actually something that Tulsi speaks to often. We hear about her talk about it in the Middle East a lot, but in Central and South America, even during the debates yesterday, a lot of people were talking about the children at the border. The children at the border. We have to do immigration reform, but I would love to know your opinion about this. In my opinion, immigration reform can't start at the border. It should start with the policies that perpetuate massive immigration.
I agree with that. I agree with that, absolutely. And the violence in these countries, Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, but also in much of Central America and other places as well. Yeah, absolutely. There's also massive poverty. I mean, this family where the little girl's mother was murdered, they were living before that just hard-scrabble farm life on the side of a rocky mountainside. You know, they were barely scraping it together before they were victimized by these gangs that terrorize people and murder them.
So I have a question for you, because you've seen these children a lot more than I have. So I'm only basing off of what I can see right here. I've noticed something, and this is a little bit more nuanced because I live in Miami, and so I have immigrant friends who are freshly immigrants.
Yeah.
I've noticed they don't go after the Venezuelans who came here recently who look like you, or look like my friend AJ over here.
Yeah.
They go after the people who look more closer to Abraham here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that plays a huge part?
Oh, you betcha. I mean, this is
Do you think they would be able to even
America.
get away with this if they were getting more people that look like you, or maybe one of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Mexican immigrants? Do you think that they would get asked, oh, can I see your passport? Can I see your license?
Well, I don't know about that, because this administration is pretty heartless, and they will be non-discriminatory assholes, if you pardon the expression.
Oh, you're fine.
I mean, they're going to be inhumane to pretty much everybody, but absolutely color makes a big difference. I mean, this country was born in racism. We treated indigenous people, when we all immigrated here, we white people all immigrated here back 300 years ago. And of course, your ancestors came over in slave boats, which is not exactly
we got stopped in Barbados,
too.
but we were still on the slave boat. We just stopped a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But,
so I mean, that's the history of this country, and I think that's not really talked about very much.
Slaves always seem to be a little bit darker, huh? And it's unfortunate, because I feel like, these kids are not slaves literally, but at the end of the day, they literally are getting paid to keep children away from their families, and there is no hope. And they were just talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
These kids, if they eat, don't finish their food. If they shower too long, their punishment is their freedom.
Right. And also, even they're told if they react to us, the people who are waving heart signs and telling them we love them, los queremos, if they respond to us or smile or even look in our direction, they are going to get a report, quote unquote, which means that they will, at least they're told, be kept in here for a longer time than they otherwise would be. They'll see their family even not a long time away.
Well, thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for all the information. We're going to catch back up with Tulsi.
Good.
Hey, man, spending your time and your money to be down here.
Thanks for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Roku TV, and on JustNForm.com. Also, You can make sure that you're subscribed to the channel by going to the subscribe button, pressing it, and hitting that notification bell to get all of our notifications. And of course, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon by supporting the show by donating as little as $1. You can click on the link in the description below for that. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance.